And that usually leads to not like the women at the office understand me. And pretty soon the women at the office start looking better and better, and your family looks worse and worse, and before you know it, boom, you've lost everything.
When this power begins to form, it might be likened to having a little factory in your body.
Among the most common sexual sins, pregnancy and abortion, all ugly sins, but in and of themselves, they're pernicious evils.
Dad. Where's the party?
Oh, well, I'm in a little trouble.
Is she pregnant?
Well, if she is, are you gonna leave the woman carrying your grandchild standing out in the cold?
I look pregnant?
Travis Wayne Goodsell. As a male, born and raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I know for myself that the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are extremist sexual abusers. Extremist sexual abusers. They all need to be locked up and have this church dissolved for their extremist sexual abuse alone, let alone all the other abuses that they're involved in that I've been going over with you all these years. Packer's little factory talk was before I hit puberty, and so I didn't go to that conference. I was still too young, and so my dad went alone to general conference to watch that. And so when I entered into puberty, I knew nothing. It was the summer of my 10th year. Turned 10, and that summer, my little factory began to operate. I didn't know what was happening. It just happened. And with the church's extremist sexual abuse, as time would go on, the war of sin commenced. The church, under Russell Marion Nelson, banned Packer's little factory talk. Because under Nelson, he decided to change and further turn up the sexual abuse, for which now we are being told that there are no little factories, that women cause our factory to start. And that by covering up and hiding women, we then are capable of shutting it off and not go through our mood shifts. That we are able to shut off wet dreams. And so psychology was used to help the church with this extremist sexual abuse. Psychology also needs to be shut down, everybody locked up and dissolved forever. And it is sad that the church doesn't just sexually abuse to the extreme males. But the majority of psychologists are female. And so you've got a whole career field with a course curriculum major at BYU so that you can become a PhD in extremist sexual abuse, for which the majority of which are female. Now, the church never wanted females to go to priesthood meeting. If you know anything about ordained women who insisted on listening to the living prophets of Jesus and wearing slacks to disguise themselves to get in. If you were righteous the whole time, none of this would have happened. And so women, likewise, are taught about men's little factories under Packer, and now under the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as President Nelson, psychologists are telling women that they just need to cover up and hide, that they are the cause of men's sexual desire, and that women need to cover up and hide, and men can just turn it off. Friends in love, and sex only for babies. No mood shifts. When women don't even realize that psychologists are also attacking them with the help of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and their extremist abuse. Sexual extremism. And so this results in the church's representative every year with the Anti-Humane Society discussing pornography as the real threat. They want women covered up and hidden. That's all that campaign is. And they say that pornography is a deadly virus that must be shut down, because then men will no longer desire sex. And that's why they had to ban Packer. Because Packer said, our little factory runs 24/7. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Psychologists now say, yes, you can stop it. Cover women up and hide them. No porn. I had already figured out as a teenager that porn did not trigger me. I already knew about my little factory because I didn't read the pamphlet. It was my bishop gave me when I was a deacon. I was too offended that my parents, even my dad, didn't even provide me with a pamphlet. Didn't even teach me what was in the pamphlet. Because it was just after my brother began puberty that my parents decided, maybe we should have the sex ed talk. And it could have been because the church told them to do it. Or that the school told them or the school had sex ed for that 1 hour when all of the girls were taken out of our class and the boys from the other class came into our room. We all had to sit on the floor and watch a slide presentation of a dissected penis. We weren't taught women. We were just told afterward to leave a certain girl alone because she has a medical condition of a sexual nature. I didn't understand. I wasn't the one teasing her. She was a friend to me. But anyway, regardless of the extremist sexual abuse of white supremacist Christian nationalist peers, which, yep, isn't it amazing? White supremacist Christian nationalists are extremist sexual abusers, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is an extremist sexual abuser. And it was 1978 when I learned that the church allowed blacks into the church for priesthood in the temple. White supremacists, Christian nationalists. Interesting. What kind of church am I in? Tom Jones said that we worship Satan because of the inverted pentagrams. What's an inverted pentagram? Geometry was my weak spot in math at the time. Which now I understand is why is the church didn't want us to know about it. I blame the church for my geometry lack of knowledge. Anyway. And so it is just horrifying. But this is a major factor, not just Beth in kindergarten, as to why Gwyneth Paltrow became a favorite in high school. Before Shakespeare in Love, which even Shakespeare in Love, she was an abused female who rises to overcome her abusers. That was the genre of movies that she was involved in. And so that's why I grew fond of Gwyneth Paltrow. And so yeah, it was tragic that Brad Pitt didn't want anything more to do with her and left her, and then she fell off the wagon and is now doing vagina-scented candles. And names the children after fruit. But there are consequences in our development if we are miseducated, if we are sexually abused, physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused. especially when it's a religion doing it. And so in the first marriage, the wife likewise did not know anything about her own body, but was upset with me that I didn't know anything about her body. But didn't know anything about my body, and never apologized for not knowing anything about my body. But she, too, being Mormon, assumed that I could shut off my little factory. And was told by her dad the need for sex is just once a month for boys. That's only if you don't touch your little factory. Because what Packer also exposed, but he did not make the connection to, which was his malicious attempt to miseducate with sexual extremism, was that males need to control their anger. But he said, you need to control your little factory like you need to control your anger. But the two go hand in hand. Remember? Mood shifts. Boys have them. Men have them. This is why it's so extreme. Natasha Helfer was excommunicated and fired by the church because of her telling the medical truth to her clients who were Mormon. And then was interviewed by John DeLynn, Church's Strengthening Church Members Committee. Watch him to find out who to have excommunicated from the church. She was. If you want to be excommunicated from the church, fired from your church job, be interviewed by John DeLynn. He'll make it happen. He's a traitor. He's a psychologist, educated at BYU as a PhD. And so he's playing the other side of it. I don't know if he knows. He should. He's a PhD in psychology. But because he's a PhD in psychology at BYU, they aren't telling him and teaching him about logical Socratic methodology for scientific research development, to run tests for confirmation of truth. You know, like all scriptures tell us to do. That's where I have no empathy or sympathy for him. He had the scriptures. He was born and raised Mormon. He was told to study them. And yet, he chose to believe psychology instead of the scriptures. And so lots of people are upset with me because I criticize him for being in the evil field of psychology of extremist sexual abuse. And so yes, it's not any wonder that he has had difficulty with his infidelity towards his wife, with co-workers. If you know anything about those scandals, right, Nuance Ho? I saw those thumbnails. And then when we hear about Tim Ballard and that woman who I guess sent text messages or emails, whatever form it was recorded in, saying that, you know, I can be your polygamous wife. If your first wife doesn't agree, we can murder her. Well, So yeah, it's very sad. On Wikipedia concerning the kidnapping and rape of Elizabeth Smart, they won't tell us she was raped. But instead of putting in there that he was born and raised Mormon, having section 132 about polygamy, but the church is in denial of it with official declaration number 1. As all of us with pioneer ancestry have polygamous families in our genealogy line. But the church claiming, no, we don't do that anymore. But we're going to do it in the millennium. For Brian David Mitchell to be reported as being a deviant that he was, not because of the church's teachings about the second coming, polygamy, thus Elizabeth Smart. Nope. Instead, they said that his dad taught him sex ed. That was what triggered him. And his dad, to teach him sex ed, showed him pornographic magazines. Sex ed. It's just sickening that they covered up that criminal abuse to claim it was the cause by porn. Nonetheless, many psychologists were in the older singles ward back in the 2000s as well. And to listen to them mansplain my sexual nature was disgusting. Oh, your frontal lobe gets activated. That means it's bad. Your eyes dilate, therefore it's bad. Just the most absurd excuses. And so, yeah, it's no wonder that Holland came out in 2021, I think, and said that pornography was compared to coronavirus. A deadly virus. So yes, I made sure to mock him when he contracted COVID. Holland watched porn. Down with the sickness. And the theme song in the description below. It's a never-ending barrage of abuse. And that's why they don't want you watching R-rated movies. I'm surprised they didn't come out and say X-rated. Many of the 70 prior to Benson, that was actually probably during the same time as Kimball wrote his book, Miracle of Forgiveness, which he quoted Packer from a talk, saying that women are pernicious evils. I'm surprised everybody missed that he didn't have an editor, or did he really mean that women are pernicious evils as pregnant? Whatever. But there were many of the 70 who were giving talks of their own opinions and altering doctrine for the church at 70. And so yes, many of them were calling out X-rated movies, which back in the early days when it got rated, there was X, 2X, and 3X. I had to learn. Nobody was going to teach me. And so your X, or your rated R movies today, the 2X is where penetration is shown, and then their 3X are when the love flows. Let your love flow. Your love is flowing like a waterfall. See, I didn't realize musicians were teaching me sex ed in secret code. Lady Red Light, rock me tonight. Had no clue. Nobody would teach me. Nobody would teach me. So the first wife, when she became influenced to the group of friends in Lethbridge, so-called friends, they were husband bashers. The leader of the husband bashers had abused her husband to the point where he committed suicide in the hospital and made the news. And I just remember hearing the news because we'd met, we had parties together and all this crap. I knew the guy. Completely normal, not mentally retarded whatsoever. And yet, when I heard the news, was the first time I had heard that, oh, he's mentally retarded. And that's why he killed himself. And so they're not going to investigate the poor, helpless, defenseless wife who now has to take care of the children all by herself. Oh, I was so mad. She got away with murdering her husband. But that's when the first wife had likewise begun abusing me in the same manner that she caused her husband to murder himself. She was hanging out with those girls. They were all abusing their husbands. I tried to get her to be with John Penny's wife because she was a good girl. She did not participate in their little club of murder your husband and get away with it by the law. But nope, they had convinced her that I was the bad guy and needed to be murdered and needed to be abused. So yes, I was extremely abused in that first marriage because she didn't have the courage to say, I want out. Her parents warned me after we got married and had moved into the basement apartment in Rexburg. As they told me, she likes to play the martyr. They didn't bother to tell me before the marriage. They told me after. And so when it kicked in, yeah, I knew what she was doing. She was abusing me as a bully by my childhood white supremacist Christian nationalist peers so that I would be triggered to do something for her to justify being the victim and therefore be able to divorce me, get me murdered through suicide or other means, or whatever, to leave the relationship and take the kids, raise them by herself, just like the role model of her little murder your husband, sisters of the Yaya pants. Wife. But the church's abuse of divorce as a sin caused me to stay in the abusive relationship. I was kind of also trapped. I'm in Canada. I'm in America. I had not gotten my Canadian green card. I was there as her husband. And so I lost the McDonald's job as a result of that. And they made excuses and set me up and abused me to have the reason for denying me the manager job, rather than just coming out and saying, we can't give it to you because you don't have citizenship. That's all they had to do. Instead, they sabotaged me. God, not nice. Anyway, Canadians are not as nice as you think. They may be polite, but it's only an outward thing, just like Mormons. I noticed that pattern of similar behavior. So yeah, it's disgusting that a Canadian leader will say something in a tweet or whatever, and then you see in the news that they have to say sorry in the public realm in order for everybody to move on. It's just sick and wrong. If you didn't mean what you said, fine. But if you meant what you said, don't say you're sorry. Tell it like it is. Anyway. So yeah, she abandoned the marriage because she couldn't trigger me. I wouldn't do it. Even though, after graduating, moving to what I thought was going to be a separate home in the basement of my parents' house, which ended up being their Kearns apartment because the house wasn't finished, and then they expected me to build the basement home. Yeah. Church does a lot of damage. That family proclamation, oh my God, that needs to be burned. Burned to the ground. There we go. That would be a fun thumbnail picture. No, we do not have that. Burned. As the way she was able to finally break from me was one family home evening on Monday. Mormons still practice it on Mondays. Nelson came out and took an hour away from church and said the family home evening was now on Sundays. Mormons still to this day do not practice it. They just have an extra hour on Sundays to watch social media. You're not allowed to do anything on Sunday except pray to God. Family home evening, where you teach your kids to shut off their little factories. And so she was saying, I think we should go for a walk for family home evening. I said, that's a great idea. And then she got mad at me. Why can't you come up with your own ideas? But yours was a great idea. Why should I come up with something else if yours was a great idea? She maliciously got angry. And so we're with the kids, we're heading out the door, and then she slams it on us as we're outside. The kids are in shock and horror. I'm kind of shocked myself, and so I'm having to calm the kids down, say, Mommy is not feeling well, let's go for a walk. And so when we got home, the kids immediately ran to find Mommy. Yay, Mommy abused us. Let's go find her and be with her. God. They were way too young to know what was going on. She abused our kids by doing that. She then went upstairs because my dad heard the slam. Everybody heard the slam. And he immediately assumed I did it. Thanks, Dad. And so he wanted to protect the woman. So when the kids came back, he took them over to my sister's place. Didn't tell me. I'm the one who was physically violent. But I would find out later, as he kicked me out of the house. And the bishop came over and cursed me. That she confessed. And he didn't care. She and my parents then conspired to have them taken away back up to Canada. And then as she was leaving, she was 4 and he was 2, and you know they adore you. Stupid Dixie chicks. She said, my kids will not learn Hebrew. I had just deciphered Paleo-Hebrew in February. This was after conference in April. Dumbass highway patrol sheriff with the Jewish star said, well, I just watched the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' conference where I guess it was Hinckley, where Hinckley told about families. And he reunited me with my parents. My dad kicked me out of the house. So when the cops called them and said, we found your son, oh, we had no idea where he was. He just left. Yeah. Don't even get me started on 2008. Don't even get me started. See, my mom escaped justice by dying in 2021. But my dad, still to this day, believes he is innocent. That he did nothing wrong. So, Trump eyes 2025. This is what Trump has been trying to do to America. He is finding all kinds of ways to scare, threaten, abuse Americans. He's a white supremacist of the KKK descent. Daddy. And so this is what he's been doing. I am horrified that the deep state Dem press can't figure this out yet, despite the repeated pattern. He is trying to trigger everybody. This is why he pardoned those from January 6th, because they want revenge. So Trump freed them. Do it. Get revenge. And they're not. This is why he triggers undocumented. You don't like it? Come get me. Los Angeles. Do it. Riot. War. Do it. Because he's a white supremacist. He wants war. He's an extremist abuser. Michael Cohen told the press, and they told us. When Trump says stuff, he's not asking questions, he's giving orders. People are supposed to follow those orders, or he will fire you. And so with the whole world. Pay me tribute, or we'll tariff you. Bribe me, or I will destroy your corporation. Nobody's getting it. Everybody's playing dumb. Deep state Dems are going, oh, this is unconstitutional. This is illegal. Are we authoritarian yet? Is the Constitution cooed? Are we there yet? Oh my God. And so yes, Iran. We're finding out that sure enough, exact same pattern, a red flag incident that he blew up out of proportion. It warned you in advance. You didn't think it was going to be true, did you? And now that it happened, you're in denial that I had been warning you in advance. I do my videos for a reason, guys. I'm inspired to put in the little video clips and talk about certain subjects because I'm inspired to warn you of the danger you're all in. To warn you that Nelson is in charge of Trump. They put him in. They took him out. They put him back in. They want their kingdom back so that they can full-on sexually abuse those in Zion. The severity of sexual abuse is just mind-boggling because they're men too. They know that they are sexually abusing you. That's what I never understood, but that's part of their trap, to guilt trip boys. They're men and they're telling us they can control it. So I guess I'm supposed to be able to control it and turn it off. And I can't. I'm a sinner. I'm evil. I blame my sister for not covering up and hiding enough. Take the bag off your sister's head. But Mom, the church says that she's evil and porn. I'm just covering her up and hiding her. Take it off now. That was just comedy ensues. Do not do this at home, kids. See, I never understood why my sister was getting so moody. Nobody taught me. Dear God, she was extreme. Whew. And so, yes, he was trying to trigger the Islamic sleeper cells, Iranian specifically, in America, to war. Because nobody else is doing it. Trump is struggling to get other people to be the blame so that he can pretend to be the victim, to step up and save America from the enemy within. And nobody's doing it. Everybody is too apathetic. The brainwashing of America by the Nazi psychologists worked too well. And this is what Nelson is having to deal with. The indoctrination of Mormons worked too well. And this is horrifying, because they are intentionally trying to cause the fall. So that they can destroy and then rebuild from the ashes. And it's not working. Trump is getting very frustrated. Because remember, even if you're older, it doesn't shut off. Now you can take cocaine and be a diaper don. That'll cause problems with your little factory. Or shall we say your little mushroom toad. Nothing hurts more than to be insulted by a porn star. And all you could respond with was she's horse face, because I guess she did some porn video in which it was titled Horses or some, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's banned here in Utah. Nonetheless, we are told in scriptures that it's supposed to happen. Joseph Smith gave us exclusive scriptures that Christians are going to cause it. And then Oaks got leaked by a little 19-year-old sister missionary saying, yep, we're in charge of it. We're running a test in 2020 and 2021 for right now. And thus why I knew when Nelson got up at conference, or didn't get up because he's still in his wheelchair, permanently in his wheelchair, that's what he meant when he doesn't know the day or the hour anymore. He had hyped it all up all these years, and then October conference last year, a month later, people then went, oh, Nelson said that? Oh, Sister Jessica said this. Yay, this is it. Jesus is coming. Church is going to be true finally. Just so sad. All they had to do was read the Book of Mormon, realize we're not supposed to be Christian, we're supposed to be Jewish, and then all of a sudden, all of the prophecies appear before your very eyes. And then you realize, with sadness, they've all happened. All of the prophecies have all happened. according to the Jews. And yet you're waiting for Jesus, who still has failed to show. And you're clueless that Jesus was the creation of Roman Emperor Constantine 1700 years ago, starting next month into August. And that Joseph Smith had warned you, the Book of Mormon had warned you about the Great Spirit, and you didn't catch on because the church deceived you into thinking Jesus is not Trinity, he's non-Trinitarian. He's half real, half not real. So, that's what's going on. We're waiting for somebody to be triggered to attack America so that Trump can come in and crush the rebellion and play the hero. So, isn't it fun that the church had been telling us we're Christian this whole time? Christians have been saying, no, you're not. The church keeps pushing it on Mormons. Yes, we are. They didn't bother to tell us that the first creed is true, except for the nature and character of Jesus. Everything else is true. Don't believe those Jewish authors. They're wrong. What do they know about their own scripture and religion and Christ? But then, in 2022, a year before October 7th, the church had been financing Islamic terrorism for that event, and the church came out after meeting with Islamic leaders for whom they paid the terrorist money, that they came out with a pamphlet saying Mormons are Muslim. That's the culture. That's why they deceived you into not thinking that it's actually the religion that we're the same as. Because the culture is based on the religion. So if Mormons are Muslim, then Mormons are Islamic. It is a natural deductive conclusion. And therefore, the church is trying to protect themselves from the coming attack by Islamists by betraying Mormonism and Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. And so yesterday's church news video, Oaks came out and said we're now Hindu. They're making a pamphlet. Mormons are Hindu. Betraying Islam. They're playing all fields. So this is what a good enemy does. He plays both sides so that he wins no matter what. Church wants to win no matter what. And in order to do that, you have to play both sides and hope you don't get exposed by both sides that you're playing both sides. So it won't matter going over scriptures with you. Mormons don't believe. They're not even listening. I'm talking to an empty room now. And so, again, like Saddam Hussein under the first Bush, he went in, he was sure there were nukes, uranium deposits or whatever. He was going to find them. They went out there and you had the Gulf War. No nukes. No uranium. Nothing. wasn't there. He had done it just to do it, and claimed to his dying breath that they were there, they just got moved in advance. And so yeah, same thing with the Iran strike. No nukes. No uranium. Not there. Oops. History is repeating itself. History is repeating itself. The press didn't learn. Now it got repeated. Trump cannot come up with his own original stunts. Was it Ainsley again that told you to bomb Iran? Like she told you to bomb Syria during the first coming. And so because MAGA is back in power, they're pushing in Congress to investigate the 2020 election scandal of China interference. I told my government that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was involved with that. Shanghai! I love it when I'm always right. And so, New York had a new mayor election, and the expected winner lost. No duh! Because of Trump. New York was targeted for deportation. No duh, they put in the Islamist. No freaking duh. And so, sadly, CNN keeps getting things worse for themselves as they hired a fired anti-Jew. I can't remember if she's a Protestant or a Methodist. Doesn't matter. Joy Reid was fired from MSNBC for her hateful comments on air. I was deeply upset. When Chris Matthews quit because of all of the pressure on him, they skipped over Ali Velshi, who I thought was the better educated person for the job, more experienced. They put in Joy Reid instead. You know, I gave her a chance. She was okay. This was before October 7th. But nonetheless, you know, I saw that they were trying to control her and tame her. She tried to do some kind of a stunt segment in which she would rip up the pages that she had written and toss them in the air. I thought that was fun. But after October 7th, her true colors came out. And she got very inappropriate as a news reporter, as the majority of the press around the world did too. No longer were they using their education in journalism. It was all thrown out, books burned. And it was just an all-out assault on the Jews. Everything the Jews did was wrong, and they need to stop when they were the victims. Everybody was trying to Holocaust the Jews again. And thus she was inciting her audience to violence against the Jews. And so yes, it took them too long to fire her. And there's others that work there that still need to be fired. is it Ian, whatever his name is, he also needs to go. But CNN now hired her. She's at least a consultant. I'm not sure if they gave her her own show yet. They're probably testing the waters. But for CNN to now become anti-Jewish by hiring her is a big mistake. And so they're having her talk about Iran first. But again, big mistake to hire her. Big mistake. So anyway, that's what we're waiting for. Nobody's getting triggered. And like the first ex-Trump, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Because the husband will not do it. Because we were too abused.